Good morning, everybody. Good Sunday morning. Good snowy Sunday morning. I hope you're all doing well. Um, it is snowing outside right now. It's light and it's not a snowstorm, but it's cold and bright. And just happy Sunday. I last night I had a party at my house. I hosted my daughter and her friend and our friend, now Kevin's birthday party at my house. And it was just enough people. And it was the first party that I've hosted since COVID began. And I used to have 2 parties a year, one in March and one in October for my birthday. And it was just kind of so satisfying, which I'll talk about later, to clean my house for strangers, and just to welcome people into my home. I've missed that. I've missed meeting people that I don't know. Yeah, it felt very much like a re-entry into society, kind of. In our county, our numbers are finally way, 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 way low, and they're not nothing. So there was a little bit of a risk as far as that stuff goes. But yeah, it felt great. And I hope everybody had a good time. It certainly seemed like it because yeah, that's why I'm late. So good morning. I'm going to go ahead and read our invocation. And for those of you who haven't been here, I totally use the old Christian method of flipping open the book and reading something. I'm reading from a book called Earth Prayers from Around the World. And we usually do an invocation. Okay. Okay. So this is in a section called Benediction for the Animals. And this is by Margaret Atwood. Let others pray for the passenger pigeon, the dodo, the whooping crane, the Eskimo. Everyone must specialize. I will confine myself to a meditation upon the giant tortoises withering finally on a remote island. I concentrate in subway stations, in parks. I can't quite see them. They move to the peripheries of my eyes. But on the last day, they will be there. Already, the event, like a wave traveling shapes vision on the road where I stand, they will materialize. Plodding past me in a straggling line, awkward without water, their small heads pondering from side to side, their useless armor sadder than thanks and history. In their closed gaze, ocean and sunlight paralyzed, lumbering up the steps, under the archways, toward the square glass altars where the brittle gods are kept, the relics of what we have destroyed, our holy and obsolete symbols. So usually I scan. I know that that method of setting it open and just going with what it is. I admit that I have kind of scanned over the weeks to find something that seems uplifting. And on the one hand, Margaret Atwood's piece here seems pessimistic, but I don't know, it's almost comforting to imagine a world where tortoises have time to lumber, and even through our urban landscapes. I'm gonna think about that. Those images are gonna come back where in their closed gaze, ocean and sunlight paralyzed, lumbering up the steps under the archways. Good morning. So, I hope you've had a good week. Often on Sunday morning, I don't listen to the news. And I'm kind of an NPR junkie. It comforts me to hear those calm voices, like I'm sure it comforts so many other people. And I normally don't do that on Sunday morning, so I can just allow my mind and my spirit and my heart to come here and be with you and allow whatever is going to happen inside my brain and heart to just show up. And I want to show you. I'm being distracted by that's my daughter's art. It's an old piece, but it's so pretty. Anyway, yeah, I just really want to honor flow. And if I have a God, I don't know if I have a God. It's definitely flow. It's definitely sort of the Taoist, and I might be misunderstanding because I'm still new at it, but the Taoist understanding that life, if it is, hi Joe Carroll, if it is anything, it's flow. But I was even thinking about that this morning. I'm going to take a drink because, okay, I'm sorry. We'll get back to that. I have to tell you, last night was so wonderful, and I will post links in the event and in the video because I had a bunch of artists at my house because my daughter's an artist as well. And so it was like, and I spent so much time cleaning. I mean, well, again, no. Yeah, now's the time. So, I spent a lot of time cleaning this week and I needed it. I've been trying to kind of change my language around cleaning. Cleaning's fine, but I also kind of see it as aligning my environment. So I align my environment in order to move forward and see things and do things. And I choose what I want to do, and then I work backwards and say, okay, what kind of environment do I need to get that done, right? Whether it's a coffee shop or my house or my garage, or, sometimes it does require that I fold my clothes in my bedroom. And I do have one rule about that, which is clean clothes don't go on the floor, only dirty clothes. And I don't really leave my dirty clothes on the floor. It's just, they go in the hamper. This is so TMI. I did drink coffee. Hi, Kathy. But yeah, that's the one rule. Clean clothes don't go on the floor. They can be in a big pile. So, Kathy, anybody who's joining, I hosted my daughter's birthday party with her friend Kevin, who is an artist, and I will be posting those. Here at my house. It's a little house. It's like a camp house, kind of. It's like 875 square feet. And I had just let my environment reflect a lot of the, there have been some heavy things in my life lately, in my family's life, and handling them and knowing what to do and knowing how to, like, not being the person who loses it all, the person who, being a mom, being the person who holds it together to move forward authentically and kindly and consciously. That's really hard. And it has been that kind of week. it's been that kind of 3 weeks. And last week I told you that I had missed the week before because of all this stuff. So when typically throughout my life, and I know that I'm not unique, but I'm just sharing, my environment gets kind of, I mean, I'm cluttery anyway, but it reflects that kind of sort of difficulty and maybe I mean, I guess it is kind of depression. If I cough today, I'm skipping ahead, but we had a fire in the backyard. It was snowing, so there was no fire danger, but I have a fire pit, and I inhaled so much smoke. Oh my God. So cheers. But yeah, it was really a gift to me as well to host, because it gave me an opportunity to tap into my Southern woman. If strangers are going to be in my house, it's going to be a certain level of cleanness. And as I said at the beginning, I used to have pre-COVID 2 parties a year. And so that would kick in twice a year and my house would stay pretty clean, right? And so I cleaned, and my daughter came over. I had been working on it for a couple of days, and then my daughter and son came over yesterday, and we kind of all pitched in for a couple of hours to finish out stuff. And it just felt so good. And the funny thing about it, and the reason I sound kind of scratchy today, is because the guys, they got on, like, they grilled burgers and stuff on this grill that I didn't even know still worked. Oh, so embarrassing. But it worked. And I have this fire pit out back that my youngest son and I dug a few years ago, but I haven't used it in forever. And they cleaned it out, and they got it going. And I cleaned all that time. And everybody was outside the entire time. Like, I mean, there was a little bit of stuff going on in here, but not really. Like, this was like, we come in and get kind of warm, but the fire was amazing. I have what I've called affectionately and not affectionately, scarily, a Black Widow hotel of a wood pile out back. And they were just like, I don't care, I'm just gonna go get the wood. And I was like, I hope they're asleep. I hope they're all asleep. All the spiders are asleep, so that we can, they don't go, oh no, our home is gone, and they like try to come inside, because, but yeah, it was fascinating internally to have people just taken over, which I wanted them to. And it was great. It was absolutely great. And I hung out outside, and we had a fire in the snow, and we hung out there. Like, we kept hanging out. And honestly, I've had way too little sleep, and I even had some alcohol, which I never drink at home. Unless there's a party, and I don't really go out. And so it was fun, and my liver was even fine. But it was, and I'm still drinking electrolytes because I inhaled a lot of smoke from the fire. And it was fun to watch people enjoy themselves in the space, which is just really a gift. So that's been my week and my last night. So thank you for rolling with being a little late this morning. I'm tired. So in the interest of kind of what's going on in my brain, I don't really listen to anything before I come on here. And that was the same this morning. And last night, this morning, as I went to sleep, and then as I woke up, I was really thinking about, what's going on in our world with Russia invading the Ukraine, and how many stories this week I have seen or read, even from some sort of kind of metaphysical, but also just Jungian scholar, like Jungian people on Instagram, thinking about how especially at first and over the last few weeks as he's ramped up, everybody's trying to understand Putin. Side note, I think that was why the Orange Horror was elected in 2016, because everybody tried to understand why he was being so crappy. And I kind of think about it like, what if we didn't have all this media? Like, what if we were back when we got our news, you know, from fellow people and not, we weren't all connected. Like, what kinds of things would be said about a person who acted like that? Seriously, I have like smoke in my lungs, but fire smoke. But we, you know, one of the both advantages and drawbacks to our interconnectivity, the interconnectedness of the world, is that we almost always fall on the side of trying to find the humanity in each other. I don't know why I'm crying, but we do it with people who prove that they've crossed the line. They don't feel that anymore, or maybe ever, who knows. In the grand scheme of the universe and the world, where does evil come from? Where does a lack of care come from? I tend to think in a very simplistic way that it's like it's an accrual of general shittiness over hundreds of years and all of those crappy decisions that when people choose against themselves and by themselves I mean like their heart, their desires, and it gets twisted. God, that sounds vague. But we try to understand, even when we try to understand why people act like Putin is acting right now. And there's a big part of me that wants to shout and scream and say, stop trying to figure him out. Just trust his actions. Audre Lorde said, words matter, but trust movement. Where do you go? Where do they go? Do they go to harming other people or building up people? And it's not just people who invade other countries this happens every single day on a micro level with when we gaslight each other or we don't listen to what somebody else is saying, or we disdain. God, I disdain way too much. I mean, okay, when I'm driving, definitely. I'll never stop talking about that, you guys. But because I feel like it's both something that's essential to my character, but also kind of a flaw. And, but I don't want anybody, I have a hair. I don't want anybody to, like, if I were intentionally shitty to you, okay, and I don't mean thoughtlessness, I don't mean like accident, I don't mean sort of human fallibility, but like genuinely I came over and took over your house or something or whatever. I don't want you to go through, I want consequences. God, I need to knock on some wood. I can't imagine doing that, but you never know, right? I mean, who knows what goes on? See, I'm doing it. Who knows what goes on in the minds of people who act like that? I am even doing it right now. And I do think that magnitude matters. Like, hold the guy accountable. So I'm going to back up a little tiny bit or add some context. The way that I think of the universe, the way that I think of just reality, okay, is, and I'll try to post the link, but I tried to explain this a few weeks ago according to quantum physics, like what is understood about the nature of gravity and existence, okay? And the way that I conceptualize it is that everything that exists is like this huge vat of honey. And it's so big, you know, that there's the end is so far that it's like it's infinite, but it's honey. And so everything is honey. And you know how honey, crystallizes, and every now and then you'll get like weird globs, like, you know, it tends to solidify. And there we go. I'm using a light out. I'm not using a light today. Okay. So it tends to solidify, and in my mind, this vat of honey is kind of, you know, those illustrations or videos that you see of the neural network, like all those filaments and connections and sparks. That's how I see this vat of honey, because when you get down to the deepest level, there is no difference between this crappy little light that just crapped out on me and this water with electrolytes in it and my face. There is zero difference at the deepest levels. There is no time. It's all particles acting with particles. It's only when you start to draw out into like pull out kind of into a wider view that time comes into existence, entropy happens, and that we see differentiation with as far as materials go, right? And so I'm going to repeat this because it still blows my mind, because it's space-time, you, this, that picture, you, your finger, anything. They are all events. They are not just, good morning, John. They are not things. It is not you, I am a human, and this is a thing. It's all events. And so when I think about morality and how do we define what is real, good, and shitty behavior, forgive my French, shitty behavior, like we are witnessing right now, what in that vat of honey of interconnectedness, a neural network of connections where the honey coalesces into things, events in space-time, you and me. How do we determine meaning? And what does judgment have to do with that? I mean, is judgment a spark, a light, or is judgment a cutting off? And I mean, most of my life, not only did I live in a culture of the church that is completely judgment based, but I also very much align with that and have continued doing the same thing to myself all the time. And to other people, I know how to kind of like, oh God, I'm much better at judging myself than other people, but I still judge other people, you know, especially when I'm driving, but with the windows closed. It's the only rule. And so if I'm looking at this vat of honey that's a neural network, and sort of how I conceptualize it is good is when light and energy gets to flow unimpeded. However, this morning I was lying in bed, and my cat, Max, she's behind there, she was so social last night. It was like she was tired too, and she wanted lots of cuddles. And I was thinking about that, like good and evil, horrible actions, you know, killing people, all of those kinds of things. And on the one hand, I want to judge it. I want to say it is absolutely cutting off life. Absolutely. But then I began to think about radical non-judgment. There's a lot written about it. And I thought, what if pain, what if there's something that, we call the shadow side, or we see as, clearly wrong, or what if it is a constriction, but if we keep, how do I explain this? It's really hard, because on the one hand, I want to say, what if that is like almost a pumping action? Like in yoga, you constrict and then you flow. But I don't want to justify or excuse away evil. But when you're in the midst of evil, it is clearly evil. And then when you pull back and you see the world, and it reminds me of the book by Stephen King, which I'm not a huge Stephen King fan because I get really scared. But he wrote the book 11/22/60. No, wait. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? It's the book about, it's all numbers, and I clearly needed more caffeine. But the concept is that a man takes on the goal of going back in time because he can, and thinks that in order to solve history and make the world a better place, he needs to prevent John F. Kennedy from getting assassinated in Dallas. And part of the horror of the book is not just how time fights against him, but how he begins to see the horrific things that would have happened if he had prevented JFK from being assassinated. And the horrific things that would have happened. He tries to fix certain things as well and help people and change the course of time. And it becomes monstrous. And I don't know. I don't even really know. Like, I don't have an answer, right? I don't have an answer of what's going to happen in 10 years because of what's happening today. And when I think of the pumping action of the universe, it could just as clearly be that it's love and kindness. And that's what, maybe there's constriction in those as well. And then also, it doesn't have to be dualistic. It can be as complex as it clearly is. Who knows why? Who knows why pain happens? On the one hand, there are clear answers, right? But on the other, when you pull back, I don't know why. I don't know why people are dying right now in the Ukraine, except that a person chose to harm other people. And I guess that's a clear problem. I don't I was going to say I don't care how he feels. I wonder if any of us have thought about, what if, I don't even like saying the names, but what if the people who do things like that, what if they showed up at my door? What would I do? Would I offer him bread? Tea? I don't know, man. All I know is in a national, macro sort of way, we have to say, dude, you just killed a bunch of people coming to my house. No, you don't get bread and tea. You chose against that. But I wonder what I would do if I didn't know. Would I let the wolf in? I don't know. All I know is that my heart goes out to the people suffering right now. I really need to sneeze. Sorry. And I thought about that as I cleaned my house over the last couple of days for a birthday party where we had plenty of food, more than enough food. I'll probably be eating dip with my eggs this morning. Plenty of food, things to drink. A bunch of people who just had a good time. And that's allowed to happen. Pain is pain, but joy is also joy. And I would hope that if I were in the kind of dire situations that are happening right this very second, that I would want other people to have joy and party, right? Obviously, all the caveats, but yeah. We're not going to solve the problem of good and evil this morning, but I really wanted to kind of mull over it, and I appreciate your letting me mull over it. If anybody has anything to add or ask or slap me down, please do, okay? Yeah. And maybe we can light a fire in the snow, metaphorically. Maybe we can light a fire in the snow with our love and kindness and care and aligning our environments and going for it, risking this week. Happy birthday to my daughter. Happy birthday to Kevin and to any of you who have a birthday today. I hope you have a wonderful week. I think I'm going to try and walk in the snow a little bit today and enjoy that cold, icy loveliness. I will be showing up at 10 next week, not late. So I look forward to seeing you. I could talk around it for about half an hour more, but that doesn't feel quite right. I just want the people of Ukraine to know that, at least in spirit and in broken heart, we are with you. Bye, guys. I'm not doing a book today because honestly, I have a big, huge pile, and I'll do that next week. But nobody really claimed the H.P. Lovecraft anthology that I had last week. So if anybody wants it, please comment or shoot me a message. Okay? Ciao. Cheers to electrolytes. Have a good week, you guys.